everybody. My dad thinks his podcast is amazing, so please subscribe, give it 5 stars or whatever, and maybe he'll finally stop talking about it. Anyways, welcome to Sobriety.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Sober as Fuck. I'm Jess. This is Ryan. Before we get started, make sure everybody goes on to Spotify, YouTube, Apple Podcast. We have our Instagram account and also our website, our-noon.com. And make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, share.
Keep sharing.
Make sure you share. We like to keep our content free and accessible for everyone. And by you sharing, we're able to do that. Mm-hmm. Also, before we get started, quick trigger warning. We do discuss all of the things that will make you feel all of the ways. So prioritize your mental health. If you hear something or start feeling some way, please log off. But assuming you stick around, we have no special guests today. You're looking at the special guest. You're listening.
These are my favorite podcasts.
To the special guests.
When we just sit here and break bread.
Uh-huh. You look so short. You're all like slunched down. Chair.
I'm comfortable. I'm like very comfortable.
Sitting at attention.
I can sit up if you want me.
It's because my back hurts. I started working out again. I hadn't worked out in months. There's no excuse. I allowed life to take over. And so I'm like, my back hurts. I'm 40.
Hey, I was going to say that.
My back hurts.
It's something to do with the age.
Happy birthday. Here's back pain.
That's right. Your fucking knees and ankles start hurting.
Not yet.
Oh, they will. Just
my back. And the back is such like an odd place to hurt because you're like, is it my lungs? Is it my kidneys? Is it my muscles? Oh gosh, What's happening?
It's you get those new pains and you start to question everything. It's like, oh shit. Did this lead to this? Did this lead to this? Why is this hurting all of a sudden? Welcome. Welcome to 40.
I also have quite the exciting little doctor's appointment on Wednesday too. Would you like to hear about that?
No, please don't.
Why? I get to go and have an ultrasound to see if I can get a partial hysterectomy. Yay! Exciting. I'm so excited. Back pain and surgery and hormones. Oh my.
Wow. All the fun shit.
Right?
Nice.
So what are we talking about today, Ryan?
Today before we talk about today's topic, basically is going to be about grief. Just because it's something it gets brought up a lot, I think, in rooms, meetings and such, but it's just brought up and then kind of forgotten about. It's not really talked about. So I thought we would talk about that today. But before we get started, on grief, I lost my grandfather last week, and I haven't really talked about it. Not many people knew about it, but it was kind of a weird thing because as I thought about and I was grieving the loss of him, it made me think of a lot of the things I talk about. And it's funny that I learned some of the things that I'm doing through him and really didn't even realize it until I actually sat down, thought about it, journaled about it. He was a great guy. No one could say a bad word about him because every time he met somebody, he smiled, firm handshake, knew your name within just a couple minutes and addressed you that way. Dressed nice, always had these wonderful hats, which you commented about when you
very
first met
dapper
him.
man.
He was a very dapper man, and he loved his wife with everything.
Yeah, she passed just a few months ago.
Yeah, she passed earlier in the year, and I shared in meetings about it. The love that you could see in this man for his wife was something that I hope to have, or, I'm sure a lot of people would if they witnessed what I did. But one thing about Ray was he was a very quiet man, and he always led by example, probably not even knowing he was leading by example, which I thought was incredible because he just did the damn thing and just went about his life. And everything he did was just, he was leading by example. Just the way he did everything was just like, this is the way I do it, and this is the way it works. And I've tried different things, and they don't work, and I'm going to do it this way. And I didn't realize it, unfortunately, until later on in life, that I was learning from him the whole time, which I thought was pretty incredible. So anyway, this show is dedicated to him because I love him very much. He was a big Tigers fan, Lions fan. He's from Michigan, big fan, and that seemed to be our thing. When I was a little kid, the first way we met was he used to come to my hockey games. And as I grew up and played in many different leagues, he always randomly came to my games. We always talked about sports. But yeah, his love for Michigan sports was just insane. They were just a bunch of lovable losers, and he loved them. That was great. So
yeah, and I always like to think about the fact that these people who are the matriarchs, the patriarchs of your family, right? Like, and when I say you, I mean like the universal you, anybody.
Mm-hmm.
You have your grandparents, you even have your mom and your dad, and aunts and uncles, like whoever it is. They had a whole life before like any of us were around. So at your grandmother's funeral a few months ago, I kept bringing up like, he was just sitting there staring at his wife, right? Like in her casket. And I don't know, but in my mind, I like to think like he's sitting there reminiscing about all the times, like, you remember him as this like dapper old man, right? And I remember my grandparents the same way. They passed when I was very young, but they were also much older. They were 40 when my mom was born. So, there was a big age difference there. But, thinking about like all the things about being young and dating and falling in love and, all that whole life that you have before you have kids and grandkids. Cause that's like the kids and the grandkids are like the part 2 of the life, right?
Yeah.
So it's one of those where like a Back to the Future moment where I wish I could like jump in my DeLorean and go back and like eavesdrop on everything happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, maybe I do, maybe I don't. I don't know. These people who are like, all dapper and together, you may go back and go, Grandma, what are you doing? But that's the fun of it, right? Is deep down inside of there, when I saw him at your grandmother's funeral, I was like, he's replaying the whole relationship, the whole life that he had before any of us motherfuckers in that room were there. You know what I mean? Like the first time they met, the first time they, like, and I'm not trying to be gross, just that's real.
It's part of it. Yeah.
Because I mean, we're not in our 90s, but I mean, inside you're still that like 16-year-old kid who's like afraid to get caught by your parents. Like it never goes away. And you talk about your grandfather being like super quiet and very reserved, and your grandmother was anything but. So like, I wonder what he was like early on. Like, did she sort of like knock him down?
I don't know, because it's they met later on in life, but yeah, he was just always that way. He's just so quiet and reserved. And he's the kind of person that always really thought about what he was going to say before he said it. He didn't just jump into any conversation. He would listen to everybody, gather his thoughts, and then speak. And it was just, it was different. I wish I could do that. I would love to be able to do that.
Well, by the time you're 90, you probably will. I mean, a part of him was probably like, there's no point in me jumping into the conversation. I might as well just let these ladies... because we have families that are very female heavy. You do, and I do too. I mean, we have men and there are boys, but it's like one boy to every like 3 to 5 girls. Like it is super heavy. So being a man or a boy in this family is like, you've got to really be careful about what you say, because you will have like 10 women just like devouring.
Yes, quickly.
And and I don't know what his upbringing was like with his family or siblings, But he probably got very used to like,
Yeah, he was a hard worker. He grew up on a farm in Missouri. I actually was there as a kid, and I remember that. It's where the goat chased me, which everybody found hilarious. The
I
goat
got to hear
story.
all about that. Yep.
Yeah, that was at his mom and dad's farm, so that was interesting.
It's good for you. Everybody needs to get
but
chased by a goat every once in a while.
yeah, but anyway, I love him to death, and I'm really going to miss him. I have a lot of good memories, and that's all that matters. And I've been able to write a lot about him over this past week, which has really been good for me too, because it's a lot of stuff I'd forgotten about. Um, growing up as a kid with things we did together or talked about. It's been really cool. It's been a really good week of reflection with such a great human that I really admire. It's really cool.
And you haven't experienced a lot of close death. Like you
No,
had
I
your best
haven't.
friend, which was many, many, many years ago, and your grandmother a few months ago, and your grandfather. Um, I, I'm the lucky one that people been dying off in my life.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, my grandparents died when I was 11, 12 years old. My mom passed a year and a half ago. My father, who I was always estranged from, passed 3 months after my mom. And I always make a little joke because she was married twice, right? My brother and I have different fathers, but we grew up together. And I always said that I would joke with my mom and say, I think that you picked like two very smart piece of shit men, because you're like, give me my babies, give me the genes, and then leave me alone, which is not really true, but it's just funny. My brother's father passed when he was young. They weren't super close. And then my father passed 3 months after my mom, like I said. And this sounds horrible. I didn't laugh at the fact that he passed. It's horrible. It's tragic. I'm very sorry. But it made me giggle because I could just see my mother and the afterlife, whatever you believe, going, I cannot even get away from you, son of a bitches. Like, really? But we cope with grief through humor too, right? Like,
Sure.
even on the podcast with our pee stories or drunken stories, in the end, it's because one of the guaranteed things in life is that traumatic things are going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, it's going
to happen no matter what.
It doesn't matter how much money you have, where you live, how privileged you are. Some are more traumatic in the sense of the way they unfold or the age of people, but trauma, loss, grief, pain, it's unavoidable.
Yeah. 100%.
It's unavoidable. So if you just wallow in that, you won't make it, right? So we make little jokes. We talk about it and we cry, but we make little jokes too. Yeah. I mean, Lily, she deals with everything in grief. And so when I told her grandfather passed, she was like, oh my, would people please just like stop dying?
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm sorry that this is like inconveniencing
like
your
sometimes
plans.
you hit that just run of years or time. It's just, it just seems like it all just kind of falls in. It just sucks. But, speaking of, grief, something that, I thought about kind of, probably about a year into my sobriety was grieving that old person that you used to be, which I think it's easy for some people. It was a little easier for me, but I see it where it's really hard for people to move on from what you were before.
Yeah.
Whether that mean, your identity loss, social loss. I think which I think is a really, really big thing. The social part, me personally, I believe is a big thing, just because with social media and everything. You form these friends, drinking buddies, whatever you want to call them. And then, it's funny when you quit drinking, now those friends, go away, move on. But especially with social media, you still see them out doing stuff, and maybe you're not doing that same stuff, and you're questioning your decision on, was that the right thing to do? and you've never really moved on from that, I think that makes it really, really tough to move on from where you were before.
Yeah, and to bring the neuroscience back into it, right? Just like with anything with recovery, I mean, there's neuroscience about literally every single human activity, response, feeling, emotion. If you break it down, our brains and nervous systems are constantly chasing predictability,
Right.
right? So it's not about chasing what's better. Our brain registers different or unknown as scary.
Sure.
And whether you are excited, afraid, any of those heightened emotions, your body kind of responds to it the same on a neurological level, and your nervous system, it doesn't really recognize those as anything different. So whether you are in a traumatic car accident or whether you are afraid, even if it's because you're getting sober or something that you would define as small, your body registers that as that is unknown, that is scary, that is painful, and then will literally readjust the way that you distribute oxygen and blood throughout your body in order to survive. And then if you take it to like literally caveman days, you need to be able to predict what's around the corner in order to feel safe. So this is why like a lot of people in abusive relationships don't leave. And you hear a lot of people saying, well, why didn't you leave? Why didn't you do this? You know, this is going on. Why didn't you change it? Well,
it's easy to say when you're not in the middle of it.
Well, and you know, it's a nature versus nurture thing too. So if you're talking about it on the like the neuroscience part of it, because even though it's painful and even though it's abusive, it's predictable. And I say this because when you were drinking, you know, there was never any physical abuse, but there was plenty of verbal abuse, right?
Yeah.
And so I got that a lot from people. Why don't you leave? Why don't you divorce? How can you put up with that? Oh, you're just choosing to stay, whatever. And it would really infuriate me because I would be like, you know, even though I know that if potentially I were to leave, I could do all these things and I'm capable and I could provide a life for all of that stuff I'm fully capable of doing. In the beginning, my choice to not leave was, at least I know what's coming next. Like if you were to come home drunk or if something were to happen, I know how to handle that. The unknown is terrifying, right? And so that's just one example. When you're getting sober, when you are getting healthy, when you're moving, like say that it's something just like you're selling your house and moving to a new place, or you break up with someone, or you're getting divorced, or even something as silly as
switching a job.
I'm going to dye my hair.
Could be anything.
It could be
just any type of change.
Anything. We always make it this big thing, but it is scary because our brains are constantly like starving for predictability because it knows it can go into auto drive.
Path of least resistance.
Yes.
Make it easy.
Yes. Yeah. And 5 whatever years ago when I started my mental health journey, that was a big thing. And I think I remember bringing it up to you. And then, you know, years later, we talk about it again. But you think like, oh my gosh, I've made all of these great choices. I'm sober. I'm going to therapy. I'm healthy. I'm working out. I'm doing all these things. I should feel wonderful. And you talk about that pink cloud, and it's there.
Yeah.
But then you also have this like grief of the person you're letting go of, because good, bad, right, or wrong, that's who you were the majority of your life.
Oh yeah.
And we talk about this on the podcast too. Like some of our best, most precious memories are from when we were both drinking and not very mentally stable.
Right.
Multiple things can exist, right? So people don't talk about that enough. How you look back and think it's scary. Because what if tomorrow I wake up and something else is different? You know, we talked about when you got sober, what if we don't like each other? Like literally, Like we were terrified to be like, what if we figure out we're just like best friends?
Yeah. And
what are we going to do with that?
Yeah, 100%.
Like,
and the other thing you're losing too is a coping mechanism,
Mhm.
which is huge. You know, that's one thing I mean, especially for me, losing that was tough because that's what you're used to turning to.
Mhm.
You know, when shit got bad, I just kind of isolated myself and would drink or, you know, go away and drink for a few hours and come home and finish it up, you know, whatever. Just drink my problems away thinking they would go away. And then the next morning, obviously the problems are still there, but you know, you used it as a coping mechanism for so long, and all of a sudden it's just, you cut it off.
Yeah, that habit is
And
not there.
that habit's not there anymore. And then, you know, we've got to, you know, find other tools and things like that, which is where, you know, the community comes in, the meetings and things like that, to really show you that there is other coping mechanisms other than, you know, reaching for whatever substance of choice
Mhm.
that you have. So yeah, it's definitely different, to say the least.
Yeah, it is. I mean, and people wonder, like, why don't I feel better? Why am I so sad? And I think some of it too, coupled with that grieving, is you're literally not used to feeling everything.
Yes.
It's like, have you read those studies about, you know, and this was long ago, but like people who are born blind or deaf, and then they undergo surgeries and they can see or they can hear. A large majority of them will say, I'd rather not.
Yeah.
And it's
Go back to
not
the way
that
it was.
it's not that like seeing and hearing is bad, but when you are inundated with all of this stimulus that you've never dealt with before, I mean, I can't even stand for
Talk
the
about
TV
overload.
to be
Exactly.
on with
Yeah.
you on your phone. And I'm like, oh my
Two or
God.
three things driving us.
You know, so
I can imagine just the whole, you know, everything all at
right.
once is just,
So
it's insanity.
as you literally detox, not just from alcohol, but from like a whole
Oh, yeah, the whole
myriad of
gamut
things
of
and
things, yeah.
reset your system,
Yeah.
you're like, oh, what is this feeling? And again, it goes to bring this full circle. Is it excitement? Is it pain? Is it
Right.
fear? Does it matter? Does it matter?
Yeah. Does it really matter?
Does
at the
it
end of the
really
day?
matter?
Yeah.
But you know, something my therapist has told me, and you see my therapist now, and you know he's great.
Mhm.
Like, but he's like, yeah, because I'm OCD, right? And I talk about like sitting with the discomfort of things, like the Christmas tree or books,
Oh,
little
sure.
things.
Yeah.
And he's like, the only therapy for that is what is it called? Where you just have to. Oh my gosh, why am I blanking on this? It's like you just have to do it. It's like being afraid of flying and you go and sit at the airport. What am I talking about? There
Just showing up?
No, there are hundreds of people right now screaming at me.
I don't know, because you got me lost now.
Why am I blanking?
I don't know.
Hundreds of people are screaming it at me right
I
now.
don't know. You've got me lost because you're like,
no, I know exactly.
Trying to throw it into my head, and I can't.
Oh my God. It is just, okay. I have to get my phone out. This is going to drive me insane. Okay. This is my ADHD working against me. Exposure therapy.
Oh, exposure therapy. There you go.
God, how long did that take me to get there?
That was a bit.
All my ADHD people out there will feel me. How did you not do that?
You just blew everything out of my head, just the way you were looking at me like.
You're supposed to finish my sentence.
And normally I would, but I don't know. Maybe it's the camera or something.
That was so much fun. And I came up with it on my own. I would like to point out that I
come up with it on your own. You looked it up on the phone.
No, I didn't say
that.
that.
I thought you didn't.
No, nope. So exposure therapy. Yes. So to back it up, with my OCD, my therapist is like the only therapy, the only treatment for that is literal like exposure therapy. So it is to stare at something and sit with the discomfort. Same thing with your emotions, right? Like you get inundated with all of this like sensory overload. And of course, like your habit, your brain predictability is like, go drink. Not necessarily because you want to, but because that is the formula that you have set up. But really, it's just, you have to sit with it. And we've talked about this before, as a society, we've really made this precedence where we teach people that they're not supposed to feel anything negative. Like, you're never supposed to feel pain or discomfort or anything. But that is your body's way of telling you something, right? And if you listen, then you'll understand why. And I noticed that a lot with you when you first got sober too. Like, just being able to sit with the feelings.
It took a while.
Mm-hmm.
It took a long.
You're still working on it.
Yeah, I mean, I have to sit with it, and journaling's been the biggest thing for me to help get through stuff. Because when I feel it, I write, pen to paper. Some people can just, journal on their phone or whatever. I've got to get a pen out because it makes me slow down and actually get my thoughts together and write shit out. And it can take 2 minutes. It can take an hour. I mean, it all varies depending on what it is. But to me, that's been the best therapy for me. Getting through, no matter what it is, journaling's definitely helped out with that.
Yeah, I would imagine too, especially with processing that grief of who you were.
Everything. Yeah, big time. Loss of friends at first. It was one of those things I expected, but I didn't think it would be so many. And that was hard. But through sobriety, I've gained 1,000 times the friends that I've lost. But it was still tough. That was probably the hardest thing, getting over at first. And then once you kind of realize who's there for you at the end of the day, all that shit goes out the window. It just takes time it takes time. So once you get through it and get on the other side of it, though, man, it's just so clear. Everything is so much clearer to you, for sure.
Well, and there have even been a few people who have still been, I'm using air quotes, or been there for you, right? Who have reached out, who've done the things, but you have had to make the decision to sort of, I don't want to say push them out, because that's not the best way to do it.
That's not it. It's just kind of change the relationship of
that's
the friendship.
hard too, though, because it's about setting a boundary.
It's like breaking up with a girlfriend or something. It's
because you genuinely love weird. These people, but
you love and care for them, but you got to take care of yourself. And at the end of the day, no matter what, you are what you got to handle. You're responsible for you. And if something is in your way, something you think's gonna, for me, it was like, what's gonna hurt my sobriety? And if I feel like that person's gonna hurt my sobriety, or the things they say or they want to talk about, unfortunately, I've got to push that person aside. And maybe after time, that relationship could change. You doubt it, because that person has to change in order for the relationship to change. So that's a whole nother thing. But again, once you get on the other side of that and you realize, okay, I'm bettering myself, I'm taking care of me, self-care is huge in this, then you're making the right decision, for sure.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
What else other than journaling do you think has been the biggest help? So we know with the meetings and the journaling, but what else? What are other little things that you do? Because everybody knows, get lots of sleep, good diet, exercise, all that.
Well, that's the thing. Self-care for me has been, exercise, reading, journaling, and the meetings and community, to me, are the two biggest things. You form, what is it? If you hang around a barbershop long enough, you're going to get a haircut, right? So you hang around these meetings, you start to learn, you get to know people, and then they become your accountability friends or buddies, or you get these long lasting relationships. I know people in sobriety that have fallen in love and gotten married, and there's many different sides of it. But at the end of the day, community is, to me, by far the biggest thing, is having somebody you can rely on at any time. Pick up the phone, text, Zoom call, whatever it is, to keep you where you are.
I think we should start dating again.
We did.
No, but I'm gonna literally take my ring off and be like, "Have you met my boyfriend, Ryan?"
No thanks.
I deserve a whole new proposal,
you're crazier
wedding, and all of the things.
You're crazier now. That's not happening. Nope.
Why not?
I'm not fucking dating again. I told you that before. I'm done. Dating's over.
You can just move out and get an apartment.
Now wait a minute. Now you may be on something.
I saw
So I can get a bachelor pad for about 6 months.
Sure, that'll be the most boring bachelor pad in the world.
Never come back. Oh my gosh.
I'll have male strippers delivered every Saturday night. I saw something on TikTok and it made me think of us where it was like, which would you choose, to share a twin bed with your spouse every single night, or have to sleep in separate bedrooms for the rest of your life? And I was like, that is the easiest decision. Give me the separate bedrooms for $500, Alex. I kind of want that now. Like, that sounds good. I've always said that we need our own separate, like, living spaces and then a common area in the middle.
Kind of like, when we went to the Biltmore, it was like that, was it not? Didn't they have two? I knew they had two separate living arrangements. Right. Didn't they have a common room or something?
A gentleman should never enter a woman's boudoir. Okay.
There you go.
I think it would make things, interesting.
Yeah, that could be fun. I like that.
And it'll be a lot less of, Jess, you're sweating. Get off me.
I like that. It's a good idea.
I'm full of great ideas.
Yeah, I like
when
it.
I can think of them and remember them.
Not to look them up on your phone.
Yeah.
Exposure therapy. I'll never forget it.
Therapy.
Speaking of exposure therapy, so I have this fear of heights. But, we were watching that show yesterday. Was it Below Deck? Mm-hmm. Was that paragliding, something like that? I want to fucking do that. I need that exposure therapy. So I need to go to Norway.
You can do it in other places.
A cliff. Yeah, but I want to go to Norway and do
There's a cliff right here. I just give you a hint and I'll just have fun.
Jesus Christ.
This will be me, okay? Are you ready? If you ever decide to go paragliding, I'll be down.
The good news is this is recorded.
You're doing great, babe. You're doing great. You're doing great. No, thank you.
Oh my gosh.
No, thank
you. I love it.
I'm not really a thrill seeker in those ways.
I don't think you're a thrill seeker at all.
Mm-mm.
You're kind of just path of release resistance kind of gal.
No, that's not the truth, because I feel like I've had constant resistance in my life. I think that that feeling that you get when you first step off of something, that, you know what I mean? That scary feeling, or you're a roller coaster and you're at the top and you're going out. That is my baseline. That's how I feel at any given moment. Because for me, it's I'll get upset or get in a tizzy with smaller daily things that disrupt. But when it is sky is falling, horrible, earth shattering, I am cool.
Your game
as a cucumber. And you know that.
I do, yeah.
I look back on when my mom passed and I was like, okay, we have to do this. We have to do this. And it wasn't that I wasn't breaking down and crying and having moments, but it was went off without a hitch. When your grandmother passed, I'm like, where do we need to go? What do we need to do? I mean, and of course, these are trauma responses. I'm not saying this is a good thing.
Sure.
But yeah, that feeling of teetering, or when you're leaning back in your chair in school and you're like, am I going to fall? Am I going to fall? That is how I feel on a normal Tuesday afternoon. So I don't need anything, any sort of artificial stimulus to come and push me over the edge. I will sit at the bottom of the mountain and I will go like this with a thumbs up, welcoming you in.
Love it.
So yeah, we'll book it.
All right. I'm in. It looks amazing on TV. Mm-hmm. I don't think I can probably stay on the super yacht, but the rest of it looks pretty banging.
We'll get you a little little boat, a little dinghy. It'll be fun. Look, my brother and I actually stayed in, it wasn't really a hostel, but very hostel-esque in France when he lived there. And it would that is the way, that's my thrill seeking, right? You will go and jump off of a building and be scared about it and be like, oh, I did it. And I will not. But I will go and stay at a hostel or a Motel 6 or something, and I'm good. And you're over there
well, the funny thing was, I used to go cliff jumping and shit at lakes. I used to do it all the time.
I used to as well.
But also had, liquid courage, right?
Mhm.
So you don't have that anymore. So now I'm like, well, do I really want to do that shit, or was I just doing it trying to be,
I used to do
a
that
fucking
too.
superstar?
We used to go down here and jump off the railroad tracks into the lake and stuff.
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah.
died doing that a few years ago.
Well, of course.
But then
some point.
I
died doing
had a
everything.
child and realized, oh, I have this other person
Yeah.
walking the planet.
Kind of like my motorcycle. Same thing.
I rode on that damn thing with you, and now I'm like, if I ever see Lily riding on the back of a motorcycle,
Oh God, I've already had that talk with her.
She wants to do the slingshot out in Pigeon Forge, and I told her, I was like, first of all, I don't know if I have to sign for her, and I don't know what the age limit is, but assuming that I don't, I'm like, I don't want to know about it until you are back home.
Yeah, fuck that. I don't. She's
Just
not doing
go
anything.
do that. There you go. Go
I'm
do
good.
the slingshot with her.
No.
Oh, you'll jump off of a mountain, but you won't do the slingshot.
Well, somebody's like, and the parachute's already open, so you just run and jump. And there's an instructor behind you that's done it like 500 times. I'm good.
Maybe. Unless you get linked up and you'll be like, this is my first day.
This is my first day. I'm like, God, get me out of here. I'll unstrap quickly.
You can't even stand to be in the passenger side of the car when someone else is driving.
Well, I'm sure I would take the reins at some point from the guy. I would have to. Until he started spinning. Then I'm out. I have to pass him back over.
Would you ever go skydiving?
I always said I wanted to until I really thought about it. I think it's one of those things you say when you've been drinking,
You'd be
Like,
terrified
I'd
until the
fucking do
chute opened.
No, at that point, then I would just do it to get it over with. Because I knew I would have to.
See, and I wouldn't do bungee jumping other than the fact that I have no desire to jump like from the sky down to the ground. But the whiplash, at the bottom, how do you not break your neck doing that?
I don't know. I'm sure it's happened, though. I'm sure it's happened to somebody at some point.
Why do people...
That's why they have you sign that little thing called a waiver.
I just think that people who are thrill seekers either have like come close to death and they have this like new, like, oh my gosh, like YOLO, like I'm going to do all the things, or they have never experienced anxiety in their life. Because for me, I'm just like, nope, that sounds like I'm in therapy and take a lot of medication to avoid that feeling. Why would I like go out of my way and pay lots of money to just like get it all, listen, paragliding, if I want to have that feeling of paragliding, I will just like not take my meds for 30 days.
Oh my God. All right. I feel like we've derailed a little bit.
I love it when we derail.
I do too.
It's my favorite.
Let's wrap this up.
That's what she said.
That is what she said.
What? Did you like that?
Yeah, I did like that. Anyway, before we close out, I do want to let everybody know we've got a lot of guests lined up, all the way up to the end of the year now, I think. And if you do want to be a guest on the podcast, please contact us through our website. And all you got to do is really just drop us your email and we'll send you all the information as far as becoming a guest on the show. Anything else you want to add before we take off?
There's always something else I want to add, but I'll wait till next time.
I do want to remind you, if you're grieving over alcohol or any type of substance, you are not broken at all. You're just being human.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. That's all I
You
got.
don't need to be fixed because you're not broken.
You're damn right.
And if you are broken, just go get some super glue and fix yourself back together. That's what I do. All right, everybody. Talk to you
soon.
Bye.
Bye. If you love the podcast, which I know you do, please like, subscribe,
and hit that notification bell to
Boom.
get notified every time we post.
That's right. Dropping them, baby. Word.